Sabbath keepers versus Sunday defenders. Who stands on God's side? The battle between truth and tradition has raged for centuries, but the reality is simple. There are only two groups in this world: those who obey God's commandments, those who follow man-made traditions. There is no middle ground. Either you obey God or you obey man. Either you stand with the Creator or you stand with human institutions that dare to alter His word. So, where do you stand? The Sabbath was written by God. Sunday worship was instituted by men. Consider this: the Sabbath was personally spoken by God. Exodus 20:1. The Sabbath was written by His own finger in stone. Exodus 31:18. The Sabbath was commanded in the 10 Commandments. Exodus chapter 20, 8-11. The Sabbath was observed by Jesus. Luke 4:16. The Sabbath was kept by the apostles long after Christ's resurrection. Acts 17:2, Acts 18:4. The Sabbath will still be kept in the new earth. Isaiah 66:23. The Sabbath was created, sanctified, and commanded by God Himself. Now compare this with Sunday worship. Did God ever speak a commandment about Sunday? No. Did Jesus ever command Sunday to be a new day of worship? No. Did the apostles ever change the Sabbath to Sunday? No. Did any prophet foretell that Sunday would replace the Sabbath? No. If the Sabbath was written by God and Sunday worship was established by men, then who do you think stands on God's side? The answer is clear. Who gave the order to change it? If God never changed the Sabbath, then who did? History gives us the answer. The Roman Catholic Church admits, Sunday is our mark of authority. The Church is above the Bible, and this transference of Sabbath observance is proof of that fact. The Catholic Record, September 1st, 1923. Another statement confirms. Of course, the Catholic Church claims that the change was her act, and the act is a mark of her ecclesiastical power. Letter from Cardinal Gibbons, 1895. This means that if you are keeping Sunday, you are following the Catholic Church, not the Bible. You are following a decree of men, not a commandment of God. Are you willing to accept that truth? Or will you continue defending a tradition that never came from God's mouth? The final test: God or man? This is not just a historical debate, this is a test. Throughout history, God has always tested His people's obedience. In the Garden of Eden, the test was a forbidden tree. For Abraham, the test was offering his son Isaac. For Israel, the test was trusting God in the wilderness. For us today, the test is the Sabbath versus Sunday. Will you obey what God commanded, or will you follow what man changed? Know ye not, that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, his servants ye are to whom ye obey. Romans 6:16. If you continue keeping Sunday without one single verse to support it, then who are you really serving? Does the majority rule over God? One of the biggest excuses people give is, but most Christians worship on Sunday. But since when does the majority determine what is right? In Noah's time, the majority perished in the flood. In Sodom and Gomorrah, the majority was destroyed by fire. In Jesus' time, the majority rejected Him and crucified Him. Jesus warned, "Enter ye in at the strait gate, for wide is the gate, and broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many there be which go in thereat." Matthew 7:13. If you follow the majority, you are on the wrong path. Truth is not determined by popular opinion. It is determined by God's word. If God's law is eternal, how did one commandment get replaced? The 10 commandments are eternal. Psalm 119:152. Thy commandments are established forever. Ecclesiastes chapter 12:13. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. God's law cannot change. Matthew 5:18. So tell me, how did one commandment get replaced? Who had the authority to erase what God wrote in stone? If God never changed it, then who did? Final challenge. Prove the change. If you still believe Sunday is the Sabbath, then answer this challenge. Find the verse where God said he changed it. Find the verse where Jesus said he changed it. Find the verse where the apostles taught Sunday worship. Find the prophet who announced that the Sabbath was abolished. If you cannot find these, then why are you defending it? The time to choose is now. God's final judgment is coming. Will you be found keeping his commandments, or will you be found breaking them? Will you stand with the few who obey God, or the many who follow tradition? Will you honor the day God sanctified, or continue with the day that man created? God is calling you to stand for truth. But what will you do? Choose you this day, whom ye will serve. Joshua 24:15. One day you will stand before God. What will your answer be?